Okay, this is awesome because you're like the below deck down under person I really wanted to talk to towards the end of the season because I saw the biggest change with you. Like you came in, you're asking a lot of questions and you're like,
Mhm.
"Listen, I'm not, the top deckhand." You left like total boss babe. Like could you watch yourself become more and more confident as the season went on?
Yeah, definitely. And I realized in that season that like I really love words of like affirmation when it comes to specifically to work, but it probably reflects everything else in my life. And when I was finally like receiving that, that's when I was like, okay, because for the first half of the season, I felt like I was constantly like trying to catch up until I think it was Captain who told me like, you don't need to be catching up. Like you're like from where you began to where you're at now, you're like where everyone's at, which means like I like leaped and bound so much. And then when I heard that, I was like, okay, I can like, take a minute and like congratulate myself and then just like kind of trust myself for the later half, which is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, because you ended up seeming like you were mentoring the guys towards the end, which was very cool to see. Do you think if you would have had a different captain, your journey would have been the same, or have you really looked at any of the other captains' management styles?
I don't think so. I've always like with all the captains I've been with, my work style's been very much the same. And like after below deck, I went on a boat and I was a mate, so I was in charge of the deck completely. So like I took the tools that I learned from that boat and continued on in yachting with it.
Wow, wait a second, that's huge news,
Yeah.
Brittini. Wait a second. So you were like Courtney and Malia. How big was your deck team?
So I actually wasn't like a bosun. I was a mate. So that just means I was like on a smaller boat where there was like one person for exterior, one person interior, and the captain and a chef. So
Okay.
I was like the only one for exterior, which honestly, like it's a great space to learn because you're literally in charge of everything.
Yeah.
And then the next step would be learning how to delegate.
Okay.
But that just comes in leadership skills. That's not really like needing to learn more.
But that's great.
Yeah.
That is proof right there that you were like kicking all sorts of butt. I mean, and it was so interesting. Like, last night we were rewatching some of those last few episodes, and I gotta tell you, can you help me figure out what happened to Culver? Our boy Culver, he came in so strong, like, and then all of a sudden he just like, I gotta take a nap. Like, what happened? Do you know?
Okay, honestly, I don't know. And like they didn't show or like I it was something that really was bothering me too, like the near the end because man, it is hard work. I get it. Take as many naps as you can, right? Like
Mhm.
but I mean even Benny pointed out that like he was taking more breaks um than any of us. And so it kind of loses morale when one of the team members isn't pulling their weight up when in the beginning like he was the like lead deckhand, not labeled, but like kind of just like, there's Jamie and then there's Culver. Like so yeah, it was frustrating. I don't know, like I just think it's a long season. So I think he was just kind of like, oh, like knowing that it was almost to the end, because it was really just the last week. So knowing that it was almost done, like it probably just got into his head too much.
Yeah, because I know we haven't gotten to the episode yet, and I probably won't address this until it does, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody get drunk on, on charter with the guests before. Like, I know Captain Jason was a little more lenient, but he really went for it. Like, did you guys know? Like, oh my God, he's like really drinking.
Oh, 100%. Oh my God. I had a conversation with him like in the crew mess, and he was just like, oh yeah, it was very obvious.
Do
Yeah.
you know how many drinks in he was? Because I think, didn't Jason say one drink or something?
Yeah, like we were able to have one drink, which is really, really awesome and really cool because obviously it doesn't like turn your mind over. It just kind
Yeah.
of because the guests near the end, like really like near the last two charters, they really just wanted to hang out with us. And it was almost part of like giving the guests the service they wanted.
Hmm.
Like it wasn't for us to like lay low. It was more to create the environment that the guests wanted.
Right,
And so honestly, even just holding a cup creates that energy.
right.
And so that's basically what Jason was like bringing out in us.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it was lenient, but it was also with the acknowledgement of like you're still working.
Yeah, yeah. And then for him to get that blasted. And then I do have to ask about Jordy. Um, you poor woman were out there on deck scrubbing away, going, "What is happening in this hot tub? Did we get it wrong? Like, was it innocent? Like, what was happening?" She was with her brother in the hot tub, and you seemed worried.
So honestly, Jordy reminds me a lot of my like younger self, the person that like know um like the part of my younger self that knew like you know what when I get drunk I'm like we're just like go there's no turning back, right? And so like I've definitely just like her been in spaces in my life where I was like okay I'm not going to drink because I know I shouldn't, and then I end up doing it. And so I think that's really like what happened. Like she knows the character that she becomes when she's drinking, and I just think that like there was no harm or ill intention. It's just like there's just no like censor of what's happening or what's going on
Yeah.
when drinks are involved.
So you think she was just clueless with the fact she was in the hot tub with her brother
Yeah,
without?
yeah,
Okay.
especially like in the environment with like if you're like a like in your own like home, like do what you got to do, but like there's like nine crew members walking in and out and like guests are everywhere. It's just a different environment.
Yeah. So you just sort of had your eye on the situation in case you needed to run in there with some water or something.
Yeah, yeah, which you always like, especially when guests are drunk in yacht in the jacuzzi. Yeah, like you're almost lifeguarding, honestly, like babysitting.
Yeah.
Like like whoever's on deck like needs to check every like 10 minutes to make sure people like are still okay.
And not barfing in the hot tub or
Yeah, which
did.
did happen.
Yeah. Was
Bless
that
Betty.
was that like one of the grossest things that's ever happened to you, or can you think of like one of the grossest things that's ever happened to you when you were working on a yacht?
Well, thank God that didn't happen when I was working. Honestly, I feel like the grossest things that ever happened on yachts all happened to Benny.
We did. You're right.
Like everything. The toilet overflow, the puking, like 2 a.m. going fishing and dealing with that, like everything has happened to him.
Poor Benny. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And who do you still talk to? Me, Aisha.
Yeah. I talk to Tumi and Aisha the most.
Yeah,
Um, and then like I still have really like if they text me Culver or Benny right now, like we still have a really good flow and communication style. Yeah.
that's good. So you and Culver, I mean, I know you said all good, no
Yeah.
worries, but I felt a little bad though. I mean, I think he just didn't know what he was saying or doing, or you know what I mean, or what happened?
Just like in general with the whole
Just like the
situation.
romance and the no romance,
Yeah.
and you were like, "I'm fine."
Okay. So this is what happened.
Okay.
So I like mentioned it on Watch What Happens Live, but like there like I use this term yacht goggles. So it's that idea of like when you get onto a yacht, you like kind of figure out, okay, who's here, who's not, like that you're attracted to. And then honestly, like you could be like, oh, no one's here is cute. Okay, I'll just put my head down. But as the days and the weeks and sometimes months go by, that idea of like who's cute changes because now you have your yacht goggles on because you have no one else to compare to. And like honestly, like working on deck is a very masculine energy job. So like to tap into that flirty, like feminine, like essence was really fun. And the person that I felt I could do that the most was with Culver. And so that's where this whole thing came from. And like, at the time I was like, you know what, for Kay, no, like Culver, if you want to make out, let's fucking go. Like that's really where it was.
Yeah.
And the yacht goggles were on so much because then also the crew as a whole was like there was a multiple times that it was on the season, but like imagine the things that they had to take out, like of all the times the crew was like, yes, you guys are so cute. Like, you know, it wasn't just me, it was my environment and like my personality just like I'm down to make out. Like that's really where it was going. And so yeah, it was just a whole thing. And at the end of the day, like we do have compatibility, but it's not the romantic compatibility, it's friendship compatibility. And with the environment and with like the yacht goggles, you know, it got kind of like turned a bit.
I love the yacht goggles. That's great. That's going to be the
Yeah.
new boatman's yacht goggles. I love it.
Yeah.
So you left. I know you guys did some traveling. You went back to Austin. Is that where you are now?
No, well, I moved to Austin like 9 months ago. So,
Okay.
after Australia, yeah, I traveled a bit. I worked on another boat as a mate, and then I came to Austin.
Okay. Now tell us what you're doing there because I follow both your Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like you were saying, tapping into the masculine and the feminine energy. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah. So, what I'm doing, I am a sensual empowerment facilitator, and my brand is Big Pussy Energy, or you can just say BP for short. And it's basically a space that I've created where women can come in and explore, own, and embody their sensual energy through the modalities of sensual embodiment, twerking, and lap dancing. So, what does that all really mean is through like movement practices and practices not like yoga or Pilates or working out, like it's a lot of hip movement.
Mhm.
Um, it's a way to like open up your sacral chakra, which is the energy where your sexual organs are, but it's also where sexual energy is. And culturally, we think of sexual energy as only for sex, but really, sexual energy is this very powerful energy that if you use inward and not just take outwardly, like it can be used for big ideas, passion. It can remind you how powerful you are. So basically, um, because sensuality and sexuality is such a shamed topic in society, it's something that a lot of people, men and women, and whoever associated with, like, don't look at all. So it naturally becomes like a suppressed experience when sensual energy and sexual energy is the same exact thing as hunger or laugh, like joy. It's like something innate in us. So I just create this space where, for right now, it is for female identifying people to explore it and to really see that like it's really gentle and it's really powerful because it's a part of you, and to suppress it is what is like hurtful. And that's why I say it's empowering, because it brings out something that's usually in the dark into the light, and you like can look at it and love it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
so is it something where people need to be present, like come to your studio, or do you do courses where people can connect with you virtually as well?
Yeah, so it started in person, and so I mean, mainly right now, a lot of what I do is in Austin because I just started it like a few months ago. So I'm having a launch party in Austin November 3rd, which is like a 4 hour experience of, you know, exploring your sensuality through the three modalities of sensual embodiment, twerking, and lap dancing. And then I'm also doing a retreat, which I haven't announced yet, but I'm doing a 4 day retreat in Austin in January. So those are like my in-person experiences. However, that I do have virtual experiences where I have a community. It's called BP Community. So you can do it's like monthly videos where I guide you through like 3 times a month central embodiment practices so that you can use it as an everyday practice for yourself. And then I'm gonna have courses coming out. But it's such a it's a topic that I did just like come out of my like ass with. It's something that even while I was on below deck, I was exploring with myself for the past 2 years. And it's something that really was birthed from my own personal experience. So it's like a passion for sure.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned twerking. Was it on purpose that they put you and Courtney together? Because I feel like
I
you and Courtney could like run the world together.
truly, I feel like it wasn't like extremely on purpose, but it was such a beautiful like I mean, I'm so happy it worked out that way. Unfortunately, we did not twerk, but like
Uh,
the energy was there for sure. Like
yes.
the female deckhands that like are just like out there. And that's a huge thing in yachting that I felt was that like being a female deckhand, like it if you try to cross the line of being like seen as like try to cross the line of in your feminine, like it's hard to. Like I felt this is my experience that like I felt like I was pressured to stay in the masculine energy, even on nights out. Like, oh my God, you're dressed up. Like it felt like it was a harder bridge to cross than like if an interior woman was trying to. So to like really own like that sexual energy that's literally within us and not for sex, but just like in us, um, is also something that I feel like Courtney and I like were really like bridging.
Yeah, yeah, because she's definitely, you're both very feminine women. And also like Malia, because we'll see her
Yeah.
be the boss on deck, but she puts the heels on and the skirts. So um, that is important to show that you can be a very powerful person and have this great feminine energy. So
Yeah, and that's like such a misconception that like feminine isn't powerful because our society, it is a patriarchal society. It's not wrong, but it just is. And so power is looked at as one way of like taking over and like one voice where power is the feminine power is magnetizing and instead of chasing and going after, it's just being in such a knowing of yourself that you magnetize and pull people into you. So it's a different type of power.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, we'll get some stuff set up before your retreat and the beginning of all these great opportunities people will have.
Yeah,
I think it is important, and we love seeing you on Below Deck. We don't want it to end though. Below Deck
I
down
know.
under, so hopefully you'll come back. And no reunion for you guys.
You know, I, I think it's just because it's Peacock. It's just a little different.
All right. Well, I know you and Aisha and Toomey did like a mini reunion together once, but
Yeah, we need to do one in person though.
I think that would be very important. We need it, Sweetie. We need it. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I think people are going to love what you have to say.
Mm.
And what's the handle where they should visit you, your business?
Yeah, so my personal IG is Brittini Burton, and then I also have Big Pussy Energy with one S for pussy because IG doesn't allow the full one.
Really don't. Really don't. Okay.
We're
All
getting there.
right. Slowly but surely. But yes. All right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.